Hello, this is Agent 90 on mission for the CIA. If my fellow agents remember, back last year in June, myself and several colleagues talked about Uranus and Taurus. Uranus and Taurus as it entered, I mentioned about James Theodore Beck, the archaeologist that found the stone circles here in South Africa and brought that information to England. Well, here it is, Uranus and Taurus again, and we have Michael Tellinger, who has come across an amazing find. This amazing find has to do with the fossils that have been found. Once you read his books, you will understand about the giants who came before, who are our ancestral links. So we're talking about as above, so below, Uranus and Taurus. Why is it important? Because right now, during this specific time period, once again, new information is being revealed to us about how we are connected with our ancestors and how important it is to each and every one of us to understand the implication of these things. On my journey with you, I have brought you here to the museum in which my dear Edwin is going to be able to talk to you about what it is that you need to understand about these fossils. But astrologically, why is this important? It is important because we are coming into a time period where the consciousness from above is actually affecting us physically. And by coming to these stone circles, people are having physical healings. And the stones amongst these circles sing. So as you join me on this journey, you're going to, right now, today, hear some of the soundings of these stones. But most of all, you can look at your own personal astrology chart and say, where is it that as above, so below, that we need to connect? I invite you to share with me this understanding as we take it not only to the astrological implications of this time, but I'd like you to understand the astrological implication of not only the stone circles, which are aligned celestially, but also Adam's calendar, which is aligned very much with the sun. And it sort of activates the entire vibratory field. So as we hear the sounds from the stones, it is actually allowing us to vibrate on a certain level, so that we can have an understanding that may even be greater than our own personal consciousness, a vibratory field that will allow you to take it a step further. So, with that said, I am going to switch gears and I am going to allow you to meet Edwin. Thank you very much, Edwin, for coming forward today so that you can explain to our beautiful people here at the Cosmic Intelligence Agency what all is going on. All right, there you go.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Edwin, and I'm working here in this small museum we have in the small town of Waterfall, Boven, in Mpumalanga, in South Africa, on the eastern side of South Africa. Now, I would like to introduce you to this small museum, and I always call this place Abzu because Abzu, A-B-Z-U, literally means the land of the first people. And being the land of the first people, this is where we've got artifacts which actually prove that humanity is not just merely 6,000 years, as we sometimes get to read in some of our history books, but it spans to almost 350,000 years, and maybe probably more than that, to almost 1 million and couple of years ago, it means that these artifacts that you see, you can just show them here. We've got some ringing stones that we have inside this museum, and quite fascinating Hoornfels stones that we have inside the museum. As you can see, they all have different ringing sounds that they will produce, as you will just listen to this one that I'm holding in my hands right now. And I'm going to just give you some notes from the stones, implying that these are fossils. We don't know what is embedded in them. It could be humanoid structure or bones of animals that could have been petrified in mud over millions and millions of years ago. And they've got patina covering them. As you can see, the brown color, this is patina, which has covered these fossils or rocks. And I'll just give you a note from one of them, and you would see that you can hear the sound coming from this one. And I'll get the other one, which is here, to also probably give you a much more sinister, different sound emanating from it. You can hear that one also, and the third one. And we've got a lot more, couple of them, which have actually come from our sites, different stone circle sites around this place, in these mountains where we got stone circles. And this is the other one. And we've got a lot more other ringing stones that we've got, which were collected in our museum. And these stones are fossils, actually showing that there is definitely something that has been embedded or petrified inside the stone. And this is how they produce this sound. I think that's
Okay, so as they produce the sound, Edwin,
Yes.
I'm going to walk with you a bit over to the other side
Yes.
to look at some of these other fossils. And I would like people to understand that astrologically, we're talking about vibratory fields and the sounds that can be inside of us, and that vibration can join these other ancestorial links. Now, Edwin, tell me about the ancestorial links that you know of.
Yes, we've got the stone circles that we have here in Waterville, Boven. I think you can show them some of the pictures that are up here of the stone circles that we have. These stone circles are also believed to be thousands and thousands of years, probably even going to as far as 150,000 years old, according to the tests that have been done on the rock and the fossil structures that have been found at this site of the stone circles. However, it also tells us that humanity has been here on earth for quite a long period, and shown by these structures, which are actually fingerprints that have been left by whoever these vanished civilizations were. And it was not just for the purpose of making cattle crows like what we are being told in some of the history books. It's not cattle crows, because you can just see that these have got a certain shape. These structures have got shapes which can probably be linked to sound coming out or resonating frequencies coming out from the ground. And as sound manifests itself, it manifests itself in the form of a shape. And you can see that these shapes of this stone circle are very unique. Each and every structure is very unique in its own right. And these stone structures are spreading across almost 500,000 square kilometers in this area, passing through Johannesburg, passing through the northwest into Rustenburg, right into Botswana and into Zimbabwe. So these structures are showing us that it could have been mostly the search of gold, the coming of Enkai to Southern Africa, to Southern Abzu, to search for gold in these mines which are littered all over the place in Africa. This is the sites where we find gold, and we find that this is where civilization actually began, and also that they call Africa the cradle of mankind. And being the cradle of mankind, we are now in a position to conclusively state that civilization could have begun here in Southern Africa, specifically Southern Abzu, where we are standing right now in South Africa. So we've got these stone circles, and these stone circles also tell us that there could have been some activities that were taking place way before the Sumerians started writing the cuneiform tablets, and also stating about other things that could have been found in ancient Mayan civilization, Egyptology, and other Greek artifacts that we could have been having written by different writers across the world. And also we've got these funny donut shape looking stones that we have here. These donut shaped funny looking stones here in Southern Africa, according to Credo Mutwa, these were known as sacred stones. It means that they had something to do with religion, or a prime form of worship that was happening here in Southern Africa. They were called sacred stones according to Credo Mutwa, but actually they are prime vortex generators, because now we know that the shape of the earth behaves in a toroidal field, and this is a toroid. The stone that you are looking at here, it has got a hole, and in the center of it, meaning that energy flows in different directions, and some people say magnetic fields manifest themselves in different energy directions, and some call them positives and negative, but this is actually a toroid. And we've got also some of these toroid stones which are lined up here, and I would want to show you the energy field that manifests themselves in this toroid just by using one simple demonstration that I can do and show you. Let me get something from this edge, a dowsing rod, that you can actually watch that dowsing rod, the effect of the toroidal field that is aligned in those toroid or vortex generators that we have here. These are ancient, very ancient generators, which could have been used also together with the cone-shaped tools in these stone circles, and also these other artifacts, to actually conduct electromagnetic energy and produce frequencies in these places where they used to where they had built their stone circles. So look carefully at this road as the master's manifestation of energy in the alignment. As I move it across this region of toroids, you'll see that there is an effect on the direction of current flow. Then I move back and watch carefully as I move again towards the field, the vortex line. It will actually show you the direction of energy flow that is emanating, the frequency that is emanating from this field, and it is showing us that this is a prime resonating frequency that is produced by the field of these toroids, and it shows that there is a magnetic component in these toroids, which shows that there is a flow, a magnetic flow, and suction of energy or emission of energy that's coming out from the center of the toroids. And this could have been the reason why we have these stone circles that have been built all over the places here in Southern Africa. A massive stone circle works built in Southern Africa, specifically to harness electromagnetism from the ground. The sound that has been produced from the ground is manifested into electromagnetism and frequency. That is where they got the frequency, and this frequency, they could have used it for anything. They could have used it maybe for mining, boiling water, for healing. We do not know exactly why so much frequency is found inside these stone circles. Just as I was demonstrating with the toroids, that the earth behaves like a toroid, and this civilization, whoever built this stone circle, was actually harnessing sound from this ground of the earth and also magnifying it into frequencies. Just like we have Tesla, we've got the Rife machine from Raymond Rife, we've got John Keely, we've got even Galileo. Galileo, remember, he was exorcised for speaking or talking about the behavior of the galaxy, and he was actually put under house arrest for saying that the earth itself rotates on its axis, and he had to apologize to the Queen for such a statement. But 100 years later, it was now found out that he was correct about the movement of the planets and the behavior of the galaxy. He was actually correct. This is the very thing that we learned from our past civilization, who were probably much more advanced than us, and who could have harnessed this frequential energy to run their day-to-day and everyday lives. So this is why we encourage a lot of people to come to Africa to learn about the past history, to learn about the past civilization, to learn about everything that is happening in Africa, which is the cradle of mankind, to learn that even the past civilization could have been more or much more advanced than what we are today, just by reading into the artifacts that and fingerprints that have been left by this civilization. And I thank you all. We'll have another session after a 2-minute break that we have now.
Yes, and one more question, Edwin. This civilization you speak of,
Yes.
you would say they are very advanced.
Yes.
And so they would understand technology as well as astrology, would you say, or astronomy, that they understood planetary alignments?
Definitely, Patricia. What I would like you to know, one thing is, there are the 4 pillars. We've got religion, we've got psychology, we've got history, we've got philosophy. Now, if you take one of the pillars out of that 4 quad, it means that humanity is lost. So during time of invention, you should also be having something like religion, and religion will also link you to astrology. I will let you know how these are interlinked in our next session, and I'll be talking about astrology, the alignment of the planet, alignment of the Horus, Orient Belt, and these monasteries that you see from this side, and how the stone calendar, which we have here in South Africa, here especially in the province of Mpumalanga, is actually aligned to the pyramids of Giza and also to Great Zimbabwe, which is on your north. I'll be explaining that in a short while, and I'll tell you how this comes to be, how the Orion we've got here and the rise of the sun explains your question into astrology and religion and history and philosophy of nature in past civilizations. Thank you.
Thank you, Edwin, and stay tuned for part 2.